Bachelor degree of Arts in National College and completed his Bachelor degree of Physical Education, Master degree of Physical Education in University College of Physical Education, Bangalore University, and done his MPhil in 2008 and awarded with PhD in 2017, and also completed UGC NET SLETs several times. Also take this opportunity to tell that Sir represented state in best physics competition from 1999 to 2004, representing Karnataka and won many places. Being such an eminent person, Sir has worked as a training and eminent building in athletics team, many other group events like cricket, football, badminton, best physics, and weightlifting. Sir, with a upgradation sports facilities such as upkeeping the ground and equipment. These are the specialized teams where Sir has been promoted. Organizing secretary of International Sports Fest Infini from the year 2008 to 2012, organized by PES Institute of Technology. Sir has also worked as a visiting faculty for Manipal University of Media and Entertainment with a theme of sports journalism. The University College of Physical Education as a full-time faculty with the unique concepts of physical education, foundation of physical education, sports sociology, educational management, sports nutrition, and sports medicine. These are the theme factors where he was focused on. And Sir has updated his certifications in major fields of sports as sports psychology, sports nutrition, and strength training and conditioning. It's a certified of A grade from Sports Authority of India. Sir has published more than 20 international journals in the major streams of nutrition plan, attitude of eating dispersed among the post-graduation students of Bangalore University, and the theme of health-related physical fitness, urban and rural high school children's, a study on correlation of BMI and dietary patterns. Sir has also published more than 10 research articles in the publications. More than 20 state and national conference of paper presentation has been done by Sir with the major streams of sports concepts. It's a proud moment for me, sir, to welcome you, and it's a great opportunity so that this is a right platform to guide our students and staff regarding concepts of nutrition. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Yeah, can I continue with my presentation? Is that okay?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, sir. You can.
Yeah. Good afternoon, one and all. It's my privilege to be a part of this Samvedanam faculty development program organized by MSMA Arts and Science Commerce College. Before moving on to the topic directly, I would like to give some introduction regarding nutrition, nutrients, and so on. See, nutrition is a process of getting nutrients into our body just for survive and to carry on the basic, whatever the basic activities of life are there. So there are two types of nutrients what usually we categorize into. One is macronutrients and one is micronutrients. Macronutrients, as a name itself says, macro means a larger number or a larger size. In that category, three components will come. One is protein, carbohydrate, and fat. Micronutrients are the organic compounds which help to which help in a bodily process, physiological process. In that, vitamin, mineral, and roughage water will come. In that vitamin, today I'm going to talk about vitamin C and its benefits. Vitamin C is known as ascorbic acid. It's a water-soluble vitamin basically, and it is naturally present in some foods. And it has been added to others through other sources. It has been added to food also, and available as a dietary supplement in the form of tablets like Limsi. So many things are there, like liquid form, semi-solid form, gel form. You can they are available as a dietary supplements. Humans, unlike animals, we are unable to synthesize vitamin C endogenously. That means we can't produce vitamin C inside, so we have to rely on other sources for the vitamin C. Vitamin C is required for the biosynthesis of collagen. collagen as well as L-carnitine and certain neurotransmitters. It is also involved in the protein metabolism. That means when we consume, whether it is a natural source of protein or a prepared source of protein, so vegetarian or non-vegetarian, the protein metabolism has to take place. Like once we consume protein, it will be divided into amino acids in our body. So that amino acids has to be synthesized and it has to be assimilated or into the body to the cells. So vitamin C is very much needed. When coming to the collagen, collagen is an essential component of the connective tissue, which plays a very key role in the healing of the wounds. It is also important a physiological antioxidant, vitamin C, and has been shown to regenerate other antioxidants within the body. And for example, vitamin E, we call technically we call it as alpha tocopherol. So this is a vitamin E is also assimilated into the body through vitamin C only. Ongoing research are examining that vitamin C by limiting the damaging effects of free radicals through its antioxidant activity might help to prevent or delay the development of certain cancers, cardiovascular disease, and other diseases in which oxidative stress plays a very casual role. In coming like minutes, I'll tell you what is oxidative stress, how it will affect the body, and everything. In addition to this biosynthetic and antioxidant function, it has a very key role in immune function. It improves the absorption of non-heme iron. We call non-heme iron means is a form of iron which is present in the plant-based foods which are essential for vegetarians. Insufficient vitamin C intakes can cause scurvy in children, but it is characterized and which is characterized by fatigue. The first symptom of vitamin C, vitamin C insufficiency is marked by fatigue. Then widespread connective tissue weakness will follow. Then the capillary fragility will come. So what should be the recommended daily allowance? That means how much vitamin C an individual should take. This is the next question will come. So what according to the survey, according to the National Institute of Nutrition Hyderabad survey, which was conducted in 2016, according to the age they have given, 0 to 6 months, the male or female, they should consume 40 milligrams per day. 7 to 12 months, that means 7 months to 1 year, 50 mg, 50 milligrams per day to be given. 1 year to third years of the first lifespan, so 15 mg per day. Then again 4 to 8 years, 25 mg for both male and female, it's common. 9 to 13 years, it is 45 milligrams per day. But when it comes to the puberty age, that is 14 to 18 in male, it is around 75 milligrams, whereas in female it will be around 65 milligrams. And 19 plus, once the male or female reach the 19 plus years, the consumption will go high, the requirement will go high. For male it is 90 milligrams per day, for females it is 75 milligrams per day. Here there is one more situation in case of females, that is one is pregnancy and another one is lactation. During pregnancy it is recommended to give them 85 milligrams when they are 19 plus. If they are 18 plus or 14 to 18 years, it is recommended to give 80 milligram per day. So source of vitamin C means it is mainly sources fruits and vegetables are the best source of vitamin C to take. My recommendation is not to go for any kind of synthetic vitamin C. That means the processed vitamin C is not so good because chemical is a chemical. It might give you some kind of side effects. So I think it's better to rely on natural foods. For example, we can rely on citrus fruits, tomato, potato are the major contributors of vitamin C, and other food sources are also there, like red green bell peppers, we can say, kiwi fruit, then broccoli, strawberries, sprouts. They're also the good source of vitamin C. Although the vitamin C is naturally present in some of the grains, but it is fortified nowadays. Nowadays, you get breakfast cereals. Mostly, you will get the not like lot of cereals. You will get the prepared cereals. In that also they fortify vitamin C and they add vitamin C. There's a problem in having these kind of these forms of vitamin C. That means the vitamin C content of the food is reduced by the prolonged storage. That means if you take these kind of cereal flakes and if you cornflakes or whatever the flakes you are going to take, if you keep it for a prolonged period than the prescribed period, the vitamin C might lose. Even as a asboric acid, we know that is water soluble and is destroyed by heat. So steaming as well as microwaving the food and having will lessen the losses, cooking losses. Fortunately, many of the best food sources, vitamin C, such as fruits and vegetables are there. So usually, most of the fruits and vegetables are consumed raw. So consuming five varied servings, fruits and vegetables in a day can provide more than 200 milligrams of vitamin C. So next concept, what we are going to talk about is the vitamin C intakes and status. According to 2001-2002 National Health Nutrition Examination Survey, uh, intakes of vitamin C are 105 milligrams per day for adult male and 83.6 milligrams per day for adult females. So meeting the established recommended daily allowance for most non-smoking adults. Here, the smoking adults will come. The smoking adults have to add up another 35 milligrams of vitamin C to their body, apart from the recommended daily allowance. That is a main thing what they have to keep it in mind. So vitamin C deficiency, acute vitamin C deficiency leads to scurvy. The timeline for the development of scurvy varies depending on the vitamin C storage. For example, an individual like me have a different kind of vitamin C body store than a non-sportsman or a non-active individual, you can say. So, but signs can appear within the 1 month of little or no vitamin C. It will start with the initial symptoms. Will start with the fatigue, probably the result of impaired carnitine biosynthesis. Then you can with the inflammation of gums will be there. As vitamin C's deficiency progresses, the collagen synthesis become impaired. The connective tissues become weakened, causing the joint pain. The where a lot of joint pain will be there. Poor wound healing will be there. Then there is a situation called hyperkeratosis. Hyperkeratosis means the upper skin layer will become thickened. The flakes will start coming. Itching will be there. A lot of itching will be there. A lot of things will happen. Then your hairs will lose their natural texture and natural color. A lot of things will happen. Additional signs of scurvy include depression. The people can get into depression, as well as swollen and bleeding gums, can start losing your teeth also. Then the capillary fragility will come. Then the deficiency will lead to anemia. Anemia also can pop up that time. So what are the groups which are risk of vitamin C inadequacy? Vitamin C inadequacy can occur with intakes that fall below the RDA. That means recommended, if you are not taking the recommended daily allowance, so that groups are going to be in more danger than others. But above the amount of requirement required to prevent or overt the deficiency, approximately 10 mg per day you can increase. Suppose if you have deficiency, the following groups are more likely to fall into that group. First one is the smokers. There are even the active smokers and passive smokers. There are a lot of studies which are consistently showing that smokers have lower plasma and leukocyte vitamin C. That means when you test the vitamin C, the whatever the vitamin C levels are there in the leukocyte, that will be tested. So that will be known whatever the vitamin C recommended level is there, and it will lead to more oxidative stress. For this reason, smokers need 35 gram more vitamin C per day than the non-smokers. Then the passive smokers. The exposure to the second-hand smoke also decreases vitamin C levels. Although uh, although the exact research or exact amount is available, it is established to have a specific vitamin C requirement for non-smokers. It will be around 25 milligrams than the then plus RDA recommended daily allowance that they can give. Uh, infants and infants usually we what we do, most infants are fed with a breast milk or infant formula, but both of which supply adequate amounts of vitamin C. For many reasons, feeding infants like with evaporated or boiled cow's milk is not recommended. This practice can cause vitamin C deficiency because cow milk naturally has little vitamin C. On heat, that vitamin C is destroyed. That is also a big problem. Individuals with a limited food variety. Suppose some people will stick on to their food based on different kind of health issues. So although the fruits and vegetables are the best source of vitamin C, many other foods have very small amount of this nutrient. Uh, though a varied diet, most of the people should be able to meet vitamin C of the recommended daily allowance, or at least to like obtain enough there to prevent the process of scurvy. People who have a limited food variety, including like some elderly or indigent individuals who prepare their own food, people who are abuse of alcohol and drugs, like we can say like people with a mental illness and occasionally children might not obtain sufficient amount of vitamin C. So this might this might result in a very serious problem of vitamin C deficiency. So whenever we are planning for vitamin C deficiency, we have to look into the fact that all other essential vitamins and minerals are there in the food. So how do we do it? We have to go for a complete planned diet. That means like you have to not like depending on a particular diet, you have to go with the all kind of varieties of food, green vegetables like fruits, everything, spinach, everything you should have. Then next group will be the people with malabsorption of certain chronic diseases. Due to the certain chronic diseases, people have malabsorption. That means the assimilation level is not to the mark. Some medical condition can reduce the absorption of vitamin C and increase the amount needed by the body. So people with severe intestinal malabsorption of, or some kind of cancer patients might be increased the risk of vitamin C deficiency. So low vitamin C concentration can also occur in patients with an end-stage renal disease or chronic hemodialysis. Even the dialysis people can't have more sodium and potassium because a lot of citrus foods will be having more of sodium and potassium. So this issue also will be a big problem for the people who are suffering with the renal diseases. Then the health risks of excessive vitamin C. So what will happen if you have excess vitamin C? Not much. It is not so serious. Vitamin C has a low toxicity, and it is not believed to cause any serious or adverse effect of high intakes. The most common complaints are diarrhea, nausea or vomiting sensation, abdominal cramps may come. Then other gastrointestinal disturbances like gas or osmotic effect of unabsorbed vitamin C, given some kind of gastrointestinal disturbances it might give. So now moving on to the main topic, what kind of benefits vitamin C can give? Vitamin C is a very powerful antioxidant, can strengthen your body's natural defenses. Antioxidants are the molecules that boost our immune system. They do so by protecting cells from harmful molecules called free radicals. So when free radicals accumulate, what is this free radicals? I'll tell you. When we have food, the food is metabolized and it is converted into metabolites. So these metabolites are being utilized by the body in various forms and to meet up the energy sources. When these metabolites are not thrown out of the body, they'll stay in the body and become free radicals and give lot of problems to an individual. So studies show that the consuming more vitamin C can increase your blood antioxidant levels by up to 30%. This helps the body's natural defenses to fight inflammation and take out these free radicals in a very short time. And this vitamin C is proven to help to manage the blood pressure. Approximately one third of our Indian adults have high blood pressure now due to a lot of stress. High blood pressure puts you to the risk of heart disease and renal disease, leading to the cause of death globally. It's not only in India. The global deaths are increasing because of we call it as hypokinetic disease. That means the lesser the activity, the more the problem will start. An animal study found taking vitamin C supplement helped to relax the blood vessels that carry blood from the heart, which help to reduce the blood pressure levels. So next is it reduce the risk of heart disease. Heart disease is a leading cause of death worldwide, the second cause of death. Many factors increase the risk of heart disease, including high blood pressure, high triglyceride, high tris like high triglyceride levels, LDL, or we call it as low density lipoprotein, or VLDL, very low density lipoprotein. These also can cause a very serious injury, a very serious health risk to the individual. Vitamin C help these factors which may reduce the disease of the heart. For example, analysis of 9 studies combined with 293,172 participants found that they were subjected to the 10 years, the whole, which we call it as a longitudinal study. So 10 years of study was done. People who took at least 700 milligrams of vitamin C daily had a 25% lower risk of heart disease than those who did not take vitamin C supplement. So, so vitamin C also reduces your risk of heart disease, and it reduces the blood uric acid level and as well as help to prevent the gout attacks. See, the main problem of renal disease is a uric acid level. The more the uric acid in the blood, the more your nephrons will get uh, like uh, like it will get tired to take out that from the body. So gout is a type of arthritis. It affects approximately the 4% of the Indian population. So it is incredibly painful. It involves inflammation of the joint, especially for those of the big toes. People with gout experience swelling and sudden severe attacks of pain. So a lot of pain they'll go through. Additionally, analysis of 13 studies found that taking vitamin C supplement over 30 days significantly reduce the blood uric acid compared with the people who didn't take it. So you can say that vitamin C will help you to take out the excess uric acid, helps to prevent the iron deficiency. Iron is the most important nutrient that has a variety of functions in the body. It is essential for making blood cells and transporting oxygen throughout the body. Vitamin C supplements can improve the absorption of iron from the diet. That vitamin C assists in converting the iron that is poorly absorbed, such as plant-based sources of iron, into a form that is easier to absorb to the body. Okay, this is the one. And it is found that the supplement alone help the anemia also. This supplement, your like vitamin C supplementation. Here I'm referring the non-synthetic, not the synthetic supplementation of vitamin C. If you have low levels of iron, consuming vitamin C rich foods, taking vitamin C supplement might help to improve your blood iron level. But before consuming anything, I think you should call your physician or visit your physician, take his honest opinion, go through the results, then only though the test and analyze the results, then only it is recommended to have a better vitamin C supplement. It boosts immunity. One of the main reasons people take vitamin C is to boost their immunity. Vitamin C is involved in many parts of the immune system. Firstly, the vitamin C helps to encourage the production of white blood cells. That means leukocytes, we call, or leukocytes and phagocytes, which help them to protect the body against any kind of infection. Okay. Second, vitamin C helps the white blood cells to function more effectively while protecting them from damage and by potentially some harmful molecules such as free radicals. Already told you. So the third is the essential part is the skin defense system. It is actively transported to the skin, where where it can act as an antioxidant and help to strengthen the skin barriers. So this is a main function of the vitamin C, boosting immunity. During this corona also, constantly the government was telling to have more vitamin C for this purpose only, just to fight against any kind of infection. Then protects the memory and thinking as we age. This is very much needed. Now, dementia is a very broad term to describe the symptoms of poor thinking and memory. Once you reach it affects the 35 million people all around the world. I was just going through a research before this presentation, so I just came to know that more than 35 million people worldwide are typically affected by this dementia disease. So studies have suggest that oxidative stress and inflammation near the brain, spine, or under the nerves are taken out with the vitamin C, the regular use of vitamin C. Vitamin C is a very strong antioxidant. Low levels of this vitamin have been linked with the impaired ability to think and remember. So furthermore, vitamin C intake from food supplements has been shown to have a protective effect on thinking memory as you age. This is also very much important. Uh, then the unproven claims that now the research are going on, but I would like to mention some of the unproven claims about vitamin C also here. While vitamin C has many scientifically proven benefits, there is also some unfounded or you can say unfounded claims supported by either weak evidence or no evidence at all. First is prevents the common cold. While vitamin C appears to reduce severity of cold and recovery time by 8% of in adults and 14% in children, it does not prevent them. It won't prevent the cold, but it will reduce the severity of the cold, reduce the cancer risk. Yeah. A handful of studies have they have written, not scientifically backed up, that saying that they lower the risk of several cancers. However, most of the studies have found that vitamin C does not affect the risk of developing any kind of cancer. So protects protected against eye disease. Vitamin C has been linked to the reduced risk of eye diseases like cataracts and age-related macular degeneration. However, vitamin C supplementation, like whether you're going to have it with a food or a synthetic base, have no effect on as such now because there is no proved evidence on that. So we treat the lead toxicity. Although the people with lead toxicity appear to have low vitamin C levels, but there is no strong evidence from the human side studies to show that vitamin C can treat the lead toxicity. So here I submit my submission. If you have any doubts, we can or queries, you can start asking. No problem. I think someone sent something in the chat box. Just a minute. I will just look at it. Okay, like Shubham Raj, how long does the vitamin C stay in our body? See, per day we can recommend. Usually the recommended daily allowance, whatever they have given is for 1 day. But usually when you work out with the heat, vitamin C will come out. I usually recommend 35 milligrams of vitamin C for each and every workout. For example, now I'm in Sai Sport of India. We're dealing with elite sportsmen, national campus are there, Olympians are there. So we recommend usually around 35 to 50 milligrams of vitamin C per day. So per day, the calculation you can have. So it depends on your age also. If your age is within 19 or within 20, it will be around 45 milligrams will do. Good for you. Or 75 ml if you are within that 19 to 18 to 25, something like that. Mahesh?
So there is a next question by Prasanna.
Yes, sir,
He's
please.
asking the question, sir, does heating of tomato while cooking after vitamin C?
I couldn't able to get you. So eating of tomato?
Sir, does heating of tomatoes while cooking after vitamin
Yeah.
C?
It will lose, sir. It will lose. It will be gone actually. Vitamin C, like with the body temperature only, you lose vitamin C. So cooking of tomato also, you lose some of the vitamin C. It is better to have raw. Just for the health sake, not for the any other sake. Just for the health sake, you can have raw, one or two. You can cut and you can have directly.
Students, you can ask the question in chat box.
No, not only with the vitamin C. If you have any doubts regarding nutrition also, if you have any doubts, you can ask. If I know, definitely I'll clarify. No issues in that. Okay.
Sir, one question.
Oh, how should I know how much calories my body needs? Which question should I answer? That one only, no? That's from Sumit Kumar has asked. How should I know how much calories my body needs? See, it depends on the basic metabolic rate. We call it as a basic metabolic rate you have to calculate. Depending on that, there is a calculation for calculating your energy expenditure. It is called as basic energy expenditure, extra energy expenditure. If you are an active athlete, depending on that, we'll give them the calories. That too, especially okay. let's talk scientifically. It will be on METs, metabolic equivalent task. To precisely tell you, it will be like 3.4 ml of oxygen consumed per minute per kg of body weight. It will go like that. So we'll calculate on METs, metabolic equivalent task. It's a great process. We have to sit with the athlete, we have to weigh, we have to go with the weigh, we have to go with the activity. Depending on that, we'll recommend the calories for him. I think after that, yeah, Mahesh, even ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಹೇಳಿ.
Same. That is what I was repeating.
Yeah. I think someone was asking. Please go on. Please go on. Okay, someone asked that sir, is creatine harmful for the body? I don't know what kind of creatine you're having, like creatine monohydrate or decacreatine or the liquid creatine or creatine. What kind of form of creatine you're having? Yes, creatine is harmful for the body when it is consumed above the recommended level. Okay, you're having creatine monohydrate. Very good. How many grams you're having? Could you please be more precise on that? Okay, 3 grams. Okay, before like how do you doing? Like 1 minute. What about the ones who are eating disorders due to overeating or less eating? Okay, I'll just answer. What is Dviti, I'll answer you later. But give me 3 minutes. Okay. First, I'll answer this Ritesh Kumar. 3 grams. See, before workout and during workout, there is a loading phase and there is a maintenance phase while using creatine monohydrate. What we recommend, we won't usually we won't recommend any of the creatine supplements to our athletes because it will be like a staple diet what we are giving to our athletes. So we won't recommend any of the additional creatine to be put into the body. If you are a layman or if you want to if you are into fitness or if you want to build body, usually there will be a craze and they look into the creatine supplements and they'll take. There will be a maintenance phase. Maintenance phase, what usually we do is before workout 3 grams we'll recommend, after workout 3 grams we will recommend. Okay, for the maintenance phase for the 1 week, and after that only for the loading phase what we'll do 3 grams before workout, and after that we'll give a break of 1 week. We won't continue for 6 months or 3 months like that. It will be for 1 month, 1 week gap. Again, if it is needed, then we'll recommend a creatine monohydrate. I think Ritesh, your doubt is clear. I think what about ones who have eating disorders due to overeating or less eating? Will they get any nutrients? 1 minute. Nutrition. Do they get any nutrition to the body or not? See, eating less or eating more doesn't make any difference, but it has to be a whole diet. It has to be it has to be a complete meal. It has to be a complete diet. Then only whatever the things are there, you are going to get the benefit out of it. Okay, sir. 1 minute. Okay. The soya chunks increase the estrogen level. Yes, it is true. Soya chunks increase the estrogen level, and it is recommended not to have when you are in a uh, metabolic state. You can say metabolism is building the muscle, catabolism is losing the muscle. And then, Prasanna, sir, what are the initial symptoms to understand the one who is going to vitamin C deficiency? That will be you will be more lethargic. You will have you don't have that much of energy to work. You will sweat more. Okay, and your skin will be very rough. That you can make out. 1 minute. Vitamin C deficiency is sir. Biozyme is very good. Very good. Sorry, Biozyme way good or Isoway is good. Good for fat loss. See, there is a myth. Whey protein is a whey protein. I'll tell you. See, whey protein has two contents. Sorry, milk has two protein. One is whey, one is casein. Okay. Then whey concentrate, whey isolate will come. Whey concentrate when they process through the hydrolysate phase. That means the processing of the whole protein into whey and casein. There, the accuracy of whey protein will increase. That means the absorption level will increase. Whey concentrate has around 80% of absorption, whereas whey isolate has a 90% of absorption to the body. That's it. then Biozyme way or normal way isolate, it doesn't make any difference. It depends on your body absorption, how your body is absorbing both the whey protein. I think your this one is clear. Sir, in eating disorder, generally maintain enough hemoglobin count. Having a lazy, okay. How should, okay, 1 minute. How should one maintain enough HB count having a lazy bone marrow? Uh, Enough HB count. Hemoglobin count is usually depends on what kind of hemoglobin count you had. It depends on the clinical testing. After clinical testing only, we can recommend something. We can randomly say like that. Sir, you explained the Ritesh not to have creatine. Can you suggest some natural intake which can help for? Okay, you can have nitric oxides. Nitric oxide, it will be available in beetroot. Take 2 or 3 beetroots, like put into the mixie jar, just squish it. Have some, make it as a juice. You can add up lime to that. You can have consuming, start consuming because it's a very good vasodilatator. So it will give a very good pump and it will be equal to the same. What is a creatine? What you are going to do? Then Sumit sir, I have around 40 grams of soya chunks daily. Is it okay? I don't recommend 40 grams of soya. Instead of that, what you can do, you can go for peanuts. The same kind of 40 grams of peanuts. You can have raw peanuts, or you can soak with peanut, or you can fried peanut. You can have. That will give the same effect to you, Sumit. Okay. Okay. Thing done.
Any question can kindly ask.
You can ask question, no problem. Just still there in the chat. Okay. Sir, for lean muscle, which protein should I prefer? I think it will be good if you take whey protein isolate. That to a very good company. I won't name the company. I'm not into a brand, but whey isolate will do good. But look into the potency of that company. Look into the potency of that whey protein. Instead of that, I can give you one best tip for you. You take 1 gallon of milk, that is 2.5 liters of milk. Like put it to the boil, add some lemon to it, so the milk will break. Okay, take out the whatever the like white part will be there, we call that casein. Take it out. The white, you can say that it will be like a salty water. The white water, you can store that into the fridge and you can have. That is a very good source of protein. That's a whole protein, not a whey isolate, not a whey concentrate. That's a whey protein you can have. Okay, sir, it is sir, is intermittent fasting good or bad? I don't think so that intermittent fasting is good, because it might increase your metabolism and you might feel like losing body weight, body fat percentage, but usually it doesn't do. And your insulin level and insulin secretion level, and as well as your absorption level of sugar will be disturbed. Again, it will be a very good problem, very good. It will be a very good problematic situation. I would recommend, like, go for workout, include more of the exercises into your diet, and don't go for like 3 time or 4 time meal. Don't stick on to that. Go for 8 meals. Okay, small meals, 8 time you can have, so that you can reduce your body fat percentage. Sir, explain about whey protein isolate. I don't think so whey protein isolate will be explained so easily, so it will take some time. Okay, what do you want to know? You tell me specifically. Sir, for lean body, isn't it concentrate? For lean muscle, concentrate, it's true, concentrate only. But isolate will be precisely, it will work. Like, how can I say, like driving in a traffic, driving a car and a two-wheeler. That will be like that. So in a traffic, two-wheeler will be more comfortable. So I recommend more isolate, not concentrate. Isolate will give you, yeah, the ripid kind of feeling it will give, but concentrate will be a bit bulky because it has not only the protein, lot of other ingredients will also be there. So concentrate, usually they say it is for bulky, and isolate it is for ripping. So I recommend, as a, how old, I don't know, like Shubham, how old are you? If you are within 20 or 25, you can have concentrate and isolate both. If you're 25 plus, better stick on to the isolate. Okay, you can take isolate and combination of isolate and concentrate, no problem. Anything else?
Yeah, students, we are left with few more minutes. You can ask any questions regarding
No
your.
problem. No problem. I'm here only. You can ask.
Yes, sir. Fine. It was a excellent session by you. As we all know that you are one of the best trainer in SAI, where you have been trained many of the Olympians. And as a sports scientist, it is a worth for the state to have such an excellent personality. And I also take this opportunity to thank you with all the staff members, principal, management from Ramaya Degree College. Sir. Thank you so much. And kindly students, fill the feedback link before exiting the group. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Even